So this is the official English version of the video for this character. I'm not dropping any names just to be completely safe, even though I'm going to be playing through a whole run and have made the character anyway, but we'll just deal with the whatever's there. This is my kind of disclaimer message, by the way. So yeah, not really much else to say as we get into this run, because I'll explain everything else that's part of the meat of this when we get to after the timestamp. So I did not word myself correctly there, but it's going to be fine. So, for timestamp's sake, as we get into Yogata Colt into this custom character, again, not name dropping her, just to be completely safe. That's also why this video should not have any ads, and if there is, it's not my fault because I did not monetize this video. But otherwise, if you're watching this from another platform, then just know that this is part of that official video. This is a video for purposes of entertainment on there as well. So as we get strength, charisma, knowledge, second mystery, dexterity, maybe a second encounter check, every single stat check. Kind of going into the normal PERM version of this character, which, again, is the whole reason this showcase exists. There is a normal version of this character that is not PERM related, so there will be two versions out, still trying to figure that out, which is why an upload of this character will probably take at least a few hours, more if other things go wrong. But otherwise, this character revolves around basically a 15% chance for things to happen most of the time. In the case that she's in focus, plus one reason, 15% chance. I'm going to say that's out loud in case you're watching on a small screen or you're just listening to me. And then you will fall in despair when you escape from an enemy encounter, which is ultimately a negative status effect that you don't want. But I will force it if I hopefully remember to do so, because otherwise this wouldn't really be a showcase. Yeah, and you'll see the status effect there. Otherwise, so yeah, I made this costume. If you don't recognize it, it's because it's not from the IP that this character is from, and that's all I'll say about that. And off we go. There was nothing in the cupboard, was there? No, there was not. Were not? Was not. Grammar. Anywho, native English speaker, by the way. Footage, kana, scissors, metamorphosis, and botanist. So, stat spread of strength 5 strength, 6 dexterity, 7 perception, 4 knowledge, 3 charisma, and I think it was 5 luck. I don't remember, but basically, I'm pretty sure she has lower luck, and if you want to immerse yourself as the reason why, then you should know. But otherwise, let's see here. Metamorphosis, so we will be visiting the mansion. I think we're visiting the forest just as much. I'm just going to say, I find myself visiting the forest a lot more. But on this character, so yeah, again, this character is more supposed to be suited for combat, which is why, at least for the PERM version especially, she does have combat-related perks like core strength and adrenaline available on level up. If you're playing the non-PERM version of this character, you will instead start with core strength, and I don't think you can get adrenaline from a perk pack, and if so, correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure you can. But starting with core strength does have its advantages over being able to level up into core strength while also getting having the ability to get adrenaline as well. Although if you get both core strength and adrenaline, the custom character is better overall, but that's for the PERM version of this character as opposed to the non-PERM version, which does not have adrenaline on available on level up. That's kind of the base design of this character. Even more wise, there were more switching states as we get into some behind the scenes talk here of I wanted to give her 3 states to kind of shift between, but 3 states is kind of a bit much. It wasn't too much, but I felt that if nothing else, start slow, and I found that trying to implement a 3rd status effect was perfectly doable. It's just that it did not make as much sense. So as I get 2 on my STE counter, yeah, so I just stuck with In Focus and In Despair as the 2 primary custom status effects for the character. Here's your disclaimer that if you're not playing on PERM and you don't know what PERM is, you will not be able to see these status effects, but when the character releases, because I'm throwing this on Nexus Mods, which is where pretty much almost every, if not all, PERM-related custom content for World of War goes at the moment, I will have these available for myself in case anyone asks for it, but I haven't really figured out another place to put these things, because you don't have to only include the Ito file, but you also would have to include any assets, because PERM also can use images that you yourself provide. So I guess the other part about that behind the scenes is that I was trying to make it so that I can upload 1 Ito file of the character. The problem with that is that because this character has status effects as well, those status effects get fed into base World of Horror. So if you're not using PERM, if I recall correctly, because I didn't test, I should have tested it out, but my time is very painful to me. Those ETO files that are for Perm can be loaded into base World of Horror, and they end up bugging out the game or just crashing the game. One of the two I don't remember, and if I'm completely wrong, please let me know because I have not tested that out. How can you test this out? Basically use custom Perm content like a status effect or an ally, and just play without Perm and see if that basically crashes the game. I think they might just be excluded, but I swear they're loaded up as if they were an event on a non-Perm World of Horror. But again, correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while since I tested it. I thought I tested it before, but that was a long time ago. So as we take -1 all damage here, hopefully you get to see the reason mitigation that this can, well, effective mitigation, because anytime you lose reason and you heal reason afterward, that's pretty much mitigation. That comes from my own kind of memory of basically playing as a tank in MMORPG, but more importantly, conceptual-wise, it is a form of mitigation because ultimately you are reducing the amount of damage you take. Now, the nuance there is that if you heal damage, hold on, timeline B, right? Yeah, 5 bows. If you heal damage, but you die to the first initial damage, you're not really mitigating anything because you're dead, as opposed to straight up mitigation that stops you from taking more damage. But if you can survive the damage, then you are still mitigating damage, which is why for the moment, it's kind of more a band-aid fix. I'm pretty sure there's a way to reduce damage, but it might be a little band-aidy workaround in Perm. Again, this is specifically for World of Horror Perm content. And if there isn't, then healing is just as good. But again, there is that slight nuance that is, you're not exactly mitigating the damage. So if you die to 3 reason and are meaning to heal 4 reason afterward, then you don't survive. That's all I'm trying to say. Also, I wasn't keeping track of the Ghost Ritual here, but I don't normally do the Ghost Ritual anyway. So, so the other 2 perks are normally what I would give this character on a non-perm run, so it would be the military perks. But I also added, I think I added the perk pack for Doomed already, because the perk packs are just added on to anything that you add to the character. So in this case, she has, I think it's Serial Killer and the military perk pack. I forgot what it's called. I'll take Doomed already because that's super mitigation. So again, you can already see overall this character handles reason a bit better than most other characters. That's kind of odd to say, but I swear it makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because, at least to me, is because if you're good in battle, you ultimately mitigate more reason damage just by not taking any more turns of reason damage, or just bracing if you're fast enough. But again, the close second is being able to heal or just mitigate reason damage outright. There is ways to block it, but actual mitigation, I'm pretty sure there's actual mitigation. I just didn't look close enough. It's not like I was actively looking for it, but again, this is just off the top of my mind because I did want to mitigate, but I think I just ended up saying +1 reason, because we do have, like, literally I'm using a perk right now that does not mitigate reason damage. So shrug. That being said, Doomed already is a bit of a nuanced example, because when you fail a skill check, it's not always going to be reason. So I guess in that way, yeah, again, this is just me thinking out loud. It does make a lot more sense. But anywho, if I do make a change, I will. But at the same time, it's not so bad that I'm leaving the character as she is. Like, if you take reason damage but are meant to heal 1 reason, then in a way you can immerse yourself and say, oh, the reason was too much, and you go insane or something like that. That's kind of my excuse. So maybe I should update the character to actually mitigate reason damage. But again, if nothing else, I at least wanted to release the character. And then again, it works practically well enough, because if you're taking so much reason damage that mitigation is so high, then chances are you're probably already dead anyway. That's not always going to be true, but again, this is half of this is just me making excuses. But anywho, we can't gamble here, so instead throw the wooden bat. I think we can do a thing here. I'm gonna gamble. We don't need to. I could have done an actually more accurate sequence here, and I should have, now that I've taken damage to the face, but we're going to gamble again. So we're going to brace here. If we miss both of these brace attacks, then so be it. Otherwise, oh, this is still close. I just realized. Well, we can guarantee a kick. That I know for sure. But, so you might be wondering, if this character is good at combat, why doesn't she have as much strength? I think perception is just as strong enough here. Because an extra point of strength here would be, I think, a bit too much for this character. Also, I can't do math, so we're just going to do another run. But I was gonna run from an encounter later on. I was like, oh, Metamorphosis, perfect, because after Metamorphosis, I'll just run. But, yeah, we'll just go through a run quickly here for the whole video's sake. But, definitely would have helped out. An extra point in strength, I think, would have gotten me an extra attack boost, and if nothing else, would have allowed me to get more accurate actions, although I was kind of just being lazy, so shrug. We'll do a salty run back against Yogatag. So, but yes, I felt that this character having more dexterity perception was more accurate. It's not like she's the strongest character anyway, physically. Yeah, that's all I have to say at the moment. And on a non-Harbinger difficulty, she would have 6 strength, so it's not like she has terribly low strength compared to other characters, base characters at least. Second Mystery Takushi-san, light second encounter strength knowledge, every single non-stat check. And yeah, if you end up using the army knife, then it is a perception weapon, so it makes a bit more sense. All firearm weapons, if you want to use them in World of Horror, are perception weapons as well, except for I think the semi-auto, but that's a special example. So, and then charisma knowledge, luck I felt should be lower anyway. So scissors, botanist, metamorphosis teacher. We'll take scissors first. Try to snag the cursed scissors. If we don't get it, so be it. We can get it, but yeah, not really much else to the character's design. Anything else is kind of more Easter eggy here and there. But something I can't talk about as I crack my neck, that was the sound of me cracking my neck, is basically the style of the artist who designs most of the characters from this IP. They have a very particular, I guess, way of drawing the eyes that intrigues me, and I'm usually drawn to the eyes. Eyes, I think, are a good identifier for a character a lot of the time, as odd as that may sound. Also, we do have to run here, by the way. But now that we're in despair, actually, let's cut away to talk about in despair. So, in despair, when your stamina decreases, or whenever you investigate, there's a 15% chance for doom to increase by 1. Shrug. And the stamina decreases here include all kinds of stamina decreases, just like the in focus procs can proc on all reason decreases. So defeat an enemy to return to in focus, and that's about it. But yeah, so the way that this artist draws the eyes, very early on in this artist's career, again, I don't know this for sure because I only know based on what was officially released, is that they did use a more, not general or generic, they used a more modern style of drawing the eyes, where the eyes are usually filled with gradients for the eye, the pupil and whatnot, with a white dot. But eventually they kind of switched to a more, how should I say? The best way I can describe it is a more fog-like eye color, and the shape being a bit sharper, if that makes any sense. Again, that's the best way I can put it, because I'm also trying to survive this run. So hopefully this scissor lady doesn't raise her scissors, because if she doesn't, I get to get out, I think, in 3 turns. But, yeah, as we sit here... Oh, wait, we have to gamble, don't we? Yeah, we have to gamble. 77%. You know what? I could also just throw the empty water bottle, but at this point... I'll do another run. Oh my goodness. But yeah, the very particular style of drawing the eyes, and then also the hair, or at least the back of the character's hair a lot of the times, tends to be more hooked again, if that makes any sense. I've seen both curved and wave, curved and sharp versions. So example, to take this character would have a more kind of a curved bowl line at the top, which a lot of the characters in this artist style usually have, but the hair can kind of move out in very sharp ways. Normally it's not sharp ends, and that was kind of giving me some trouble, because sometimes when I was trying to draw the, I guess in this case, the back sprite, I feel like making the hair a bit too small, and even now the back sprite I feel like is not entirely, I'm not entirely satisfied with it. But when I try to make it make the hair ends a bit thicker or longer, it looks a bit off. Now again, at the same time, I've seen the anime version of this character, and there's kind of some switches here and there between the hair length and thickness. But as we see, light, knowledge, second mystery, Takushi-san, charisma, and strength. Again, I kind of worked in I kind of used the more original style of this character's appearance, as opposed to any adaptations, so to say. But I did end up kind of switching to the adaptations at times when I could not find reliable outbreak. So that's why this hair looks a little short here. In fact, it looks a little flat because you can see the neckline. In fact, but when I tried to have the hair, I guess the split ends kind of meet at a point instead of a flat in the between, then it doesn't look right, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But anywho, this will be the last run, by the way. If I die early in this run, so be it. But otherwise, not really much else to say. If I were to go into, because I kind of talked more behind the scenes earlier as well, but as we grab Ghostly Spear and then try to grab a weapon, let's see if we can survive. But yeah, I've pretty much gone over pretty much all of this character. I did want to add more, but if anything, I would probably have added an event, but I didn't know if that would be a bit too explicit on spoilers, and that's all I'll say on that. Katana Land would be nice. Katana Land? Nope. Because why do stats matter? But anyway, so we can actually use the army knife in this run, which will make me feel a lot better. But a lot of the reason mitigation, if you're lucky, you'll get a fair bit of reason mitigation. I usually get about like 5 procs throughout the whole run, which I think might be a bit more than 15%. But because you already have Doomed already, I don't find myself often dying to reason. I mean, in recordings, I might have died to reason a lot, but I did like, you know, more than a dozen test runs with this character. Reason is not usually the problem I have. In fact, it's actually Doom for this character. Stamina is not a problem either, because when the perm version of this character grabs adrenaline, I'm not losing as much stamina in battle. So it would normally be Doom problems that I have with this character. And it kind of makes sense. So yeah, more combat-oriented characters as we take a step back and kind of look at things. Combat-oriented characters tend to, well, I would suggest should have more problems with events or Doom, but you don't want to go completely crazy, because at the same time, battles are a huge part of World of Horror, so if they completely stomp on all encounters they run into, normally they don't really have a problem anywhere else. It would take some very, very odd mystery combinations, and especially custom mystery combinations, for a character that does really well in combat to just struggle. And if that's the case, on a general level, characters that aren't combat focused tend to suffer a lot more regardless, even if they have other advantages. So I would mention Toshiaki here, but Toshiaki has indirect buffs during combat, and directly now that he has the bookstrap, which is why when I make custom characters, I try to still think about how well they can get through combat, and if they get through combat relatively well, you'll find that I often give them negative status effects to try and outbalance that. Even if the status effect is something a bit smaller, like, hey, it's just an extra max stamina or extra max reason decrease. But as I autopilot here and get my reason absolutely blasted here, yeah, otherwise, again, I think this character overall, if I were to put her on a spectrum, she is a little above average, or she's a little beneath above average, because she still has to grab a weapon. If you grab core strength and adrenaline, it's amazing, but that doesn't mean that the early part of World of Horror can still be terrible. Now, again, on an average, consistent level, she's still relatively good compared to a lot of the base characters, at least, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean you won't run into problems when things go badly. So, as we do our best here, because even though we have adrenaline, we can only brace for 117. So, can I fit in a strong? Do I want to gamble on a strong? You know what? I might as well. I swear I'm not trying to make this video faster by trying to throw a run. It's just, let's throw in some strong attacks and see what we can do. Was that hasty aid, by the way? Or yeah, we're on Metal Cushion. I was like, I don't have hasty aid. It has to be Coffin Blade. We can bandage that up, but yeah, that doesn't look right. So we should be able to just prep attack next turn. Is that going to be the best thing that we can do? Probably, right? Why did I mess up my army knife? Or were we not using an army knife? I might be going crazy. Showcase video. Would you believe me when I said I tried to record another English version of this video, and that was even worse than this one? This is a spaghetti fest, by the way, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's still miles better than the US metric system. But metric system? Imperial system. I'm going absolutely crazy. It's not even late, by the way. The time here is actually not correct, but as I do my best to survive, did we proc any of this in focus, by the way? I actually have to rest to try and survive. Yeah, this much doom on my third mystery is not great, but what other choice do I have when I am dying to stamina and reason finally? That being said, again, to note, if I were any other character, this would be a lot worse. So all I can do is shrug and tell you that I'm doing my best. But otherwise, yeah, adrenaline, prep strong, or prep attack, prep strong is also quite powerful. So let's just get into this mansion and hope for the best. Maybe we get a doom decrease, maybe we don't. We can still visit the monument as well, but I promise you, yeah, this could be really, really bad. So, yeah, nothing really much else to talk about for this character. Again, to note, this character was a request. If you didn't see the first video, I think I mentioned it there, but I'll mention it here again. Nice dexterity roll, by the way. Is that this character was basically a request offhand by someone in someone elsewhere. And I just decided, hey, I'll do it. Normally I don't, but that was kind of a mistake because I had a lot to do. Oh my sweet goodness, Rumu goes. Yeah, this is a very bad run. But normally... And we did actually immediately. By the way, this is 15%. Unless I made a mistake on the numbers, which I'll check right after this. That's 15%. So immediately got the status effect and immediately got 15%. So yeah, I was gonna say 15% twice, but I'm mixing it up with something else. But yeah, 15% immediately. This is bad RNG. But yeah, this character was a request, and I decided to fulfill the request, and that's not normal. So please, I mean, you're free to request a character, just know that it may or may not, or it will likely not be accepted because I will likely say I'm busy doing a lot of stuff. So shrug. Now, if I could just roll a 5 or 6, even if I fail a check like that because my charisma is at 3, I wouldn't feel so bad. But you know what? The game doesn't want to give me good RNG, so we had Ghostly Spirit. By the way, I completely forgot I'm autopiloting, but that doesn't change the fact I'm sitting on 80% Doom on my 4th mystery starting, so shrug, I guess. We're going to do an attack and a strong, and if we somehow... I'm even going to leave this strong at 95%, and if we miss that, guess we're not fated. But anyway, we're back in focus, and we actually have to visit the monument. Don't ask for a reason. Oh my sweet goodness. I guess we just live with 80% Doom. I shouldn't have done that, by the way, but what were we going to do? What were we going to do? Rest in monument? Come on now. I think that's overall like only a 1 Doom decrease, so it really would not have been worth it to go for it, but shrug. By the way, so do we get out in 1 turn? If I take a gamble, again at this point, actually no, Desperate Prep Strong. Why am I going crazy when I don't need to? Again, keeping in mind, I have Adrenaline right now, and if I get Core Strength, I promise you I would have saved at least 2 turns of damage in 2 separate... Or a turn of damage in 2 separate encounters. So, at this point, we're just hoping that RNG is nice to us, because it definitely wasn't nice to us at the very beginning of the run. We actually want to fail this, but because we succeeded, why not? I'm just going to Library Notes, hope we get, like... well, not Mind Drain, but hopefully get Memory Extract. No, the answer is going to be no, but we might as well keep it. This is our only way out, basically. Flesh Reap, we're getting teased with all of the good spells except for the one I need right here, right now. But at this point, now I'm just kidding. Yeah, don't let it be said. I mean, I did make a lot of bad decisions during these runs, but don't let it be said that even when you're trying your best, the game will just slap you in the face. That being said, I did make some very bad decisions. But anywho, 2 Flesh. Oh my goodness. Library Notes is RNG, by the way. You are not guaranteed to lose the Library Notes after some amount of uses, max. So I am literally just fishing for Memory Extract. At this point, though, I don't think we get enough to recover from that, but I'm committed at this point. There's no other way out anyway, so shrug, right? But without further ado, again, not really much else to say about this character. I've said what I've needed to say. I might have forgotten a few things, but I feel like I've gone over the character well enough for you to at least get a good idea of what's going on. So yeah, without further ado, not really much else to say. If you have anything to say or any questions of your own, you know what to do. Otherwise, I won't scream for the end of this video because this is supposed to be a showcase of sorts, along with me yapping, which is kind of a bit much. But yeah, nothing really much else to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!